It's a 2024-2025 Houston Rockets season preview, and we have special guests for the second time from the Brado and Will Show. Everybody, please welcome back Will Fortson. Will, good to have you back on the show.
Man.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun last time.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun having you on. You're one of my favorite Twitter personalities, and that's coming from someone who's not even a Rockets fan. Like the Rockets to me, don't love them, don't hate them, but they're one of the teams to me that are like really exciting. They're going to be like a league pass team for me this year. I'm excited to watch them. And to me, you are the voice of Rockets Twitter in my mind, at least. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that. That was the goal. So I'm glad to get that.
All right, let everybody know where they can find you.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was going to say I'm more of a Rockets fan now since they gave us our draft pick. So like I'm.
Oh, he's a Nets fan.
Yeah.
I said, we don't got to be enemies no more. We can go back to being cool. Yeah, it's no more bad blood between us now.
Facts, big facts.
All right. Well, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter, your podcast, all that good stuff before we get started.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm trying to do some more stuff on TikTok this season at Bias Houston. We have the Brado and Will Show. That's my podcast. We talk Houston sports, Houston Rockets, mainly just Rockets right now, but we're probably going to branch out to like Texans and stuff like that real soon. And then we have I don't think I had it this time last year, but the playback room where we watched all the games live. It's called Houston Live Room. If you just go type in Houston Live on playback, it's a website, app, whatever you feel comfortable using. We're in there watching like literally every Rockets game this season. We'll be in there also like sometimes if I don't know, like a trade goes down, we'll probably be in there talking about that too. So I think that's everything that I do right now.
All right, sounds good. Let's get this started with a segment that we like to call headlines. You're going to tell me whether or not they are real news or fake news. Will, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, headline number 1. Team of the future. Rockets up there with OKC with NBA's best young cores. Is this real or fake news?
We're up there with OKC for the best young core in the league. I like that. That's great. I agree. I mean, I'll pay respect to the team that was. I think they were the youngest number 1 seed ever. So like, I'll let them have number 1. But after them, I think it's got to be us. Like, I mean, I know people love showing love to Orlando because they did make the postseason last year. But I also think they had the benefit of being in the easier conference. I think they were like 5 or 6 games ahead of us, something like that. But I think they had the benefit of being in the easier conference. But I think we're just deeper, right? Like they have Paulo, they have Franz. But after that, it kind of like, I think Suggs is a good player, but I don't think he's like, no disrespect to him, but I think he's good at his role. I don't think he's I don't think he's on the same level as the Paulo or Franz is.
Right.
And then like San Antonio, they just said that because of Wemby's there, which I get, like the next best player. So I get it. But after him, it falls off. I think when you look at like just I think Sengun stacks up really well with a lot of those like the premier young players in the league. And then we're deep, man. We have 7 guys who were drafted really, really high. And I think a lot of teams would really love to have. So yeah, I think we got to be number 2 at the worst.
All right, here we go. Headline number 2. Jalen Green will stamp himself on the same level as Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell in 2024-2025.
Man,
I'm baiting you here. I'm baiting you.
No, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I'm gonna, but that's just, but like to respect, Book and Mitch are like really good. Like,
They're 1 and 2. They're 1 and 2.
Yeah. So I think that like for Jalen to cement himself there, because I think he'd be 23, 22. Yeah, I think he'll be 23 at the end of this season. Mm-hmm. That might be a little steep just because of how good those other guys are. I also just like, people ask me all the time, like, is this the year that Jalen Green breaks out? And I hope it is. I like, gun to my head, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to sit here and tell you it is. I think even if he does break out, I don't think he'll put himself in those combos, but I think he could put himself in kind of like where Anthony Edwards was at the same age, maybe.
There we go.
And then like, the next year comes along, now he's like in the conversation Anthony Edwards, and maybe that can happen. But I don't know if he touches Book or Mitch this year.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later because I do feel like he had a crazy second half of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
After realizing he was going to become a father, which we'll go down that theory. We'll talk about that. But last one, headline number 3. Maybe the Rockets are actually better without Alperen Sengun. Real or fake news?
Yeah, that was the one we talked about off camera. Yeah. No, I hate that narrative, bro. Like I hate it with a passion. I think that because it's the reason we get that narrative is because in the month of March, it was after the 5th game we played in March. Which by the way, we were 13-2 in March, but 4 of those 13 wins came with Sengun in the lineup. So it wasn't like we were just like trolling without him. Like, no, he was there when we were good too. But we won. I guess we won was at 9 without him, and only lost 1 in that time frame. And then Jalen Green, like that was the month you're talking about where he like the father thing kind of took over and he just like exploded. And so everybody saw that and like, oh, that's proof that we play better without Sengun. But that's like, one, Sengun was there for the first like third of the month, right? When we were playing, like when the team kind of started picking up the play, he was there for that. And then like not only was he there for that, bro, he was like some of his best games. Matter of fact, I think you could argue his 2 best games of the season came the 2 games before he got hurt. He dropped 45 and I think 15 on Wemby against the Spurs, and then he followed up. It was a back-to-back. The very next night, he dropped like 23, 19, and 14 or something like that, like a crazy triple-double against the Clippers. And so it's like not only was he there, he was hooping. He gets hurt. And yeah, we did go on to like go on a really big run, but I feel like you have to contextualize the level of competition. We played like the Wizards twice. We played the Jazz twice. We played the Blazers. We played a bunch of teams that were not trying to win. And then yeah, we did play the 2 big wins without Sengun was the Cavs and the Thunder. But it's like that Cavs team, if you go back and rewatch, I remember watching that game, like Donovan Mitchell was not healthy. He was not, he didn't even finish the game. He should not have been in that game. He was not healthy. And then we played OKC without SGA. And so it's like, yeah, 2 big wins, but like, it wasn't like we beat the champs. You know what I'm saying? Right. We were beating up. We got 2 big wins against those guys, and the rest of them are literally the teams that were in the bottom 5 of the league. And so for me, it's like that's not evidence that we play better. And then I'll end my plan by saying this: if we do play better without Sengun, why is it that the very next month when we stopped playing the bottom feeder teams, we lost 5 in a row? We lost 5 straight games to Dallas, Golden State, Minnesota, Miami, and it was Dallas again. I don't know, not in that order, but those are the five games we played. We lost 5 straight. And for me, it's like if we played better, why did we start losing when we start playing the teams that weren't tanking for a lottery spot? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, I hate that narrative.
Do you think that you guys would have made a playoffs if he was healthy?
It would have helped. Because we probably don't lose 5 straight. But I don't remember how Golden State finished. I think it was 46 wins. So I think we were like 5 games behind them. So it was going to be an uphill battle regardless, just because of how deep the West was. Like, I don't know if y'all know, but this is like the deepest the West has ever been. Like,
yeah, we know. We've done a lot of team previews.
We were the first and only team to have a 500 record as the 11th seed. It's never happened before.
Yeah.
So like every other year but last year, that would have been good enough for like the play-in. So I don't know. I don't know if we would have did it because we were fighting such an uphill battle, but it would have been closer for sure.
All right, let's move on from headlines. Let's move forward into your offseason. You drafted Reed Shepard. To me, just telling you right now, he's my pick for rookie of the year if he gets minutes. That's just watching Summer League, loved his game. Tell me though, is he going to fit into this rotation? Is he going to get enough minutes to actually win the rookie of the year? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that like the rookie of the year, this race is going to be interesting because this draft isn't like headlined by a Wemby, or there's not a Paolo Banchero or, a guy like that in this class per se, who's like, this guy's the immediate favorite. So when I think it could go to anyone. I think the thing that's going to make Reed's case difficult is what you said. He's going to be coming off our bench this year.
Okay.
And then how much he plays off the bench, we don't know yet. They do, like, a lot of people who are like in the know say they think he's going to be the backup point guard from game 1. So that's probably what 15, 20-ish minutes a night there. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to win rookie of the year. But like, to me, it's just like, I thought he was the right pick for the Rockets in the draft. And so even though he may not necessarily come in and day 1 start or day 1 get 30 plus minutes a night, I think he was the right pick. And I think we're going to look back in like 2, 3, 4 seasons from now and he will be like a full-time starter. And we'll look back on it and be like, yeah, that was the right decision.
Cocaine Curry, as y'all call him.
Yeah, he's. I don't know. Have y'all seen the clip the Rockets dropped like an hour or two ago? I don't know. How
Yes.
For the midi, that one, or I saw.
Yeah,
that
he
both
gets
ends.
he gets a pull up midi, a steal, a transition assist, and then a block in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Come on,
And it's
man.
like,
That boy
dude,
can hoop. That boy can hoop, bro.
he's crazy,
I
bro.
love his game. I love his game.
How much did you enjoy watching him play in summer league? Actually, him, like Cam Whitmore, like you guys probably had one of the more fun teams, like during the summer.
No, that was it was a blast. I think the interesting thing for me, because I wanted Reed, I wouldn't say the whole time because I'm not a draft guy. I didn't think we were gonna be picking third. If to be completely frank, I didn't think we were gonna get that high, so I didn't research the draft until like the day after we got the pick. But like very early on, I was like, no, I wanted Reed. I realized like no one else really made sense for us. I thought he was like extremely talented, so like I thought it just made a lot of sense for him to be the pick at 3. The cool thing for me was seeing him go out there and like do a lot of the same things he was doing at Kentucky, but obviously like on a bit larger volume. But then seeing people who were like, you can't draft him, be like, oh my God, he's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, man, 2 weeks ago, y'all didn't want him.
Right.
So like, yeah, that was the cool part for me, was just seeing him go out there and like prove everybody who was like, nah, we don't want Reed. Like, yeah, he's gonna be the guy for us.
All right, I want to go back to Sengun. We touched on it briefly, but obviously he's the best player on the Rockets. You pretty much go as far as your best player goes in the NBA. What does he have to improve on? What does he have to add to his game in order to take the Rockets to the next level?
Somebody asked me that the other day, and it actually stumped me. Like I didn't know the answer to that question, and I'm usually not stumped. So like that was
I got an answer for everything.
Yeah, like that's because I don't. The thing with Sengun is like he's already exceeded every expectation I thought he was gonna have when we drafted him, and like he's still so young. So it's like it's not like I think some people look at it like he's been so good so early, so like he's just done growing. But for me, it's just like, well, no, that just means he can grow even more. Like he's been here for 3 seasons, or no, going into 4 seasons now, but he's still like one of like I think he's the same age as Jabari. So like he's still really really young.
It's crazy.
So yeah, he still has like so much work, like room to grow.
Yeah,
but like where, man, like I don't know. I would love to see it be. I think if he could space the floor a bit more, like not necessarily saying he has to become like a cat level shooter. You know, y'all got that guy now.
Right.
Like not I don't think he has to become that good, but good enough to where he could space the floor on like low volume for our, like if we have a guy who wants to get downhill, stuff like that, hit the occasional catch and shoot 3, or just kind of make defenses respect him.
Yeah.
On the perimeter. I think that's probably what would do his game the best. But like I said, he's already so good to me, and I don't really know where his game goes from here, honestly, because I didn't know his game was gonna get here to begin with. So to tell you where it goes from now, I don't even really know.
How tired are you of explaining how a contract extension?
I knew that's what you were saying.
How like
I knew that's what that was going.
No, it's been like a month straight. I saw you like trying to be like, hey, listen, it's not time yet. You're gonna get it. People are like, no, bro, this is disrespect. I'm like, dog, like, how tired of you?
Oh, bro, it was
a contract extension is supposed to work.
It was so frustrating because it was like, I don't know. For me, this is kind of been my biggest thing is if you don't, and I mean this respectfully, if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't got to speak on it. So like that's why I don't speak on, like for example, the Knicks or the Nets. If I'm not as knowledgeable on that as you guys are, I'm not finna come in and tell you this is how it works. I don't watch all 82 Knicks or Nets games. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you don't know about it, like you don't have to speak on it. And it's like, for me, it's just like you're just wrong, respectfully, if that's kind of what your perspective was, because like the reason he's not getting his extension is not because he sucks. It's not because the Rockets don't believe in him. There's nothing going on like that. It's the exact same thing that we saw the Sixers do with Tyrese Maxey, last offseason and now this offseason. That's how they were able to get Paul George. And it's just like, for me, if you are someone who's a fan of the team, you should probably want that option to, like, not just saying you're going to sign Paul George, but just like maybe there's somebody else out there next summer that can come in and make the team better. Or maybe you trade for somebody into the cap space. There's different avenues where you can kind of use that type of stuff. But yeah, like that's what you should want if you're a fan of the team. In my opinion, because that makes us better. It's not like if he doesn't get the money now, he'll never get it, or it's not like he's missing out on money. He's gonna get the same contract next summer. It's just you know what I'm saying? It's just a formality kind of thing, so we can take advantage of the cap space this cap hole would generate. And then the funny part is like they I don't know if y'all saw this. One of the most I think he's the most trusted source in our fan base. The guy who writes for our local newspaper, he said that there's a good chance he just gets one before the season starts anyways. And so like, and he said that like I think that was media day, so that was Monday, where he was like, yeah, he might just get a contract anyways. And I think he might take a little bit less than the max to make that work, but yeah, I don't know. It was like you said, it was frustrating having to explain it a million times. Like he's not getting traded. The Rockets don't hate him. He's the best player on this team. He's going to be here for a very long time. The reason he's not getting his money is because we will have more money to spend on the whole team if we wait one more summer. It's the same thing the Sixers just did. So like, let's relax.
All right, Jalen Green had a baby and saw the light, or knew he was having a baby, saw the light, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Aside from becoming a father, or wait, was the baby born, or did he just know he was having a baby? I don't know that.
No, the baby was born.
All right, so besides becoming a father, what was the real reason why he took the jump? Like basketball reasons? Like what got into him? Was it something in the scheme of the offense? Was it him being more aggressive? Like what did you see from him?
I think it was two things. I guess maybe three. One, I think he was playing confident. We talk about this all the time on Rockets Twitter. I think the biggest thing that holds Jalen Green back is himself. A lot of times, I think it's mental. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really know what it is. But I think that in the month of March, that's when he kind of turned that corner. I think he just like went out there and was like, all right, I'm the best player on the team, best player on the floor. Can't nobody stop me, and he played like it. So I think it was that. I think he also, and please forgive me, Rockets fans, he hit an unsustainable high amount of threes. I looked it up like the other day. I think he made like 41% of his threes on like 10 attempts. Like
he was hitting step back, like
some ungodly number.
Crazy shots. Yeah.
And like I said, with all due respect, he probably will never be able to do that. Or like at least not for any like full season. Like if he's Steph Curry if he can do that. Like that for a full season. You know what I'm saying? So like it was the fact that he started hitting like an unsustainably high amount of threes. And then I think that this is the one thing that I don't think we play better without Sengun, but I do think that one thing that did change when Sengun wasn't there was that now Amen Thompson was starting. And I think Jalen, because you'll see it a lot of times when you watch him play, especially like as the season, from his rookie season to where he's right now. When he first got here, transition, he would just take off and run. And then he realized, oh, no one's running with me. No one's throwing the ball because can't nobody keep up with him, right? Or nobody has the ability to throw the outlet pass to him. And so now when he has Amen with him, now he has someone who is also trying to get out in transition with him. They were able to have a little two-man game on the break. And the men is also somebody who like he has like the Kevin Love, Lonzo Ball thing where he'll just throw a full court pass to you.
Yeah.
And so I think having that guy in the starting lineup kind of helped Jalen get out in transition. So he's able to rack up a bunch of easy points that way, get his confidence going. And then he starts hitting the threes at like an sustainably high clip. Yeah.
Incredible. Besides being on like 3-point heaters, what do you want to see from him this coming season?
Yeah. Consistency, just being, because like the thing when people ask me like to rank the players on our team, I just don't rank Jalen because I don't know what version of Jalen to rank. You have the version of him, not even saying like the March, because like I said, the March version of Jalen is like you could probably argue that guy was like top 15 in the league.
He was
like
easily.
27 points on some crazy efficiency. So like. Yeah. You could argue, I'm not saying even that version, but just like the version of him that's like just really good. Like that's a version of him. But then you also have the version of him that's like, he don't need to be on the court right now. Like it's, he has like two drastically different versions of himself. And I don't know which one, we see the bad version a bit more than the good version, but like then the good version is just like so high. It's like, well, I don't know, so I don't really know what version in the rank. So just for this season, I want to see him like stop having so much in one or the other direction, just like find the happy medium between the two. Like, I don't think he has to play at the level he played in March for a full 82. That would be nice, but I don't think he has to play that great for a full season. But just find some like healthy approximation between the two, and then like be consistent at that instead of going back and forth the whole season. And I that's what I want to see from him. I think if he do that, I mean, I have no problem giving him an extension this summer and keeping it moving.
So obviously he's going to share the court with Sengun because they're the two best players in my opinion. I know you said you don't rank him, but I think the consensus.
I mean, at his best, he's arguably the best. So like, I agree. I get what you're saying.
So for me, it's like, what do you want to see Udoka do to get him more involved or get him more comfortable? Because obviously you're going to run the offense through Sengun, and I think that's the best option. I mean, he's a phenomenal playmaker, passer, just everything. But maybe secondary sets, maybe other things that Udoka hasn't done, or maybe something that you learned watching Jalen go off. Is there something that you think Udoka should put into the system to help Jalen be more consistent?
The frustrating part with Jalen struggling last year is I kind of think we did that already. Like that. So that's what made it so frustrating for me. Because like, I think that he had everything that he needed to succeed. I'm not going to say that the offense was ran exclusively through him or just catered exclusively for him, but like, how many guys in the NBA have that anyways? Like, you have to be Jokic and be Luka to get that kind of treatment anyway. So like, I think the roster was designed for him to be the best guard. I don't think we wanted Fred to play as much as Fred did last year, to have as much use as Fred did. I think they wanted to see him and Jalen kind of share responsibilities on the ball. And then we realized, we really can't do that because Jalen isn't ready for that responsibility. And so I think that they had rotations last year where like Jalen was supposed to be the primary ball handler. It was like him and a bunch of shooters and defenders. So like, it was literally designed for you to have the ball in your hands and be good. And then he wasn't good at it. And so, for me, it's just, I think he already has the opportunity. I think he has the things in place to be successful. I think it's just on him now to take advantage of it.
What about Jabari Smith? What did you think of this past season, and what do you want to see? What improvements do you want to see of him moving forward?
I think what made Jabari's second season for him so cool was like, and I'll be honest, rookie season he was bad, really, really bad. It was a struggle for him, and so to see him kind of like he wasn't good enough per se to win Most Improved, but I think when you factor in like what he started at, like year one, you could make the argument he was one of, if not the worst player in the league that season, and then to go from that to like starting caliber forward in the NBA, that's a lot of growth in just one offseason. Like I said, he won't win MIP. But I think he should have, he's got some love in that department because I think he took a lot of tremendous growth in his game. And so for him now, I think for him it's just about getting stronger. One, there's a lot of times where he'll get pushed around by like guys who are smaller than him because I don't think his core strength is really there just yet. So I want to see him get stronger. I want to see him like I think he also kind of goes up around the rim, kind of something that's kind of the strength thing as well. I don't really know, but I think he could go up a bit stronger around the rim because he's too tall to be going up as obviously does sometimes. And then just continue to improve as a shooter, which I mean he said he has, and I mean I think he shot like 36-37% last year. So to kind of get back to where he was at Auburn, where it's like this guy is money once he gets open shot. Like I want to see him kind of get back to that. But I thought he improved a lot, and I think in the grand scheme of things, I thought he still had a really successful season for what you could expect from him last year.
I want to talk a little bit about the veteran acquisitions you had last year, Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks, those guys. How do they fit into the long-term plans? Like obviously you're going to play them this year, but how do you balance that if you're Udoka, and are you satisfied with them?
Yeah, so I started laughing because I remember last year we talked about nobody wanted him. And like we recorded that before he even started, so we didn't even get to see how it all played out. But I thought Dylan came in and immediately like proved me wrong because like I said, the Fred VanVleet signing, I wasn't super excited about the money, but I understood why we had to get Fred. I didn't get the Dylan thing. I didn't really want Dylan. But he came out and he proved me wrong like very early on. I was, very open about being wrong about that. Like I thought he played really under control. I think whereas like Fred is like the extension of Udoka on offense, I thought Dylan was the extension of Udoka on defense. And I think a lot of that tough defensive like grit culture that we had last year, I think a lot of that came from Udoka and from Dylan. I think like Dylan was needed to kind of instill that in our core. So I thought he did a good job at that. And like Fred, I mean, like I said, same thing there. I sang Fred's praises he frustrates me at times because his shortcomings as an on ball handler. But like, take a step back and you look at what he brings to the table, especially like, bro, we went back and rewatched one of the Silas era Rockets games when we had like Daisha Nix running point guard on playback the other day, and it's like, dude, we was not watching basketball. Like you don't realize how like night and day it is until you like go back and you're like, dude, what was this? And we was watching it every single night. So like to see the stark contrast, like a lot of that starts with Fred. So I thought he did a really good job at like organizing on offense. I think I gave him MVP last year personally. I know Sengun was the best player, but I thought the person who was the most valuable was Fred because of what he brought on court, off the court, kind of like just the same way. Like I said, he just completely revitalized our offense. But long term, I actually don't know if Dillon plays on this team past this season. It wouldn't shock me if this is his last year in Houston.
Yeah.
Like I said, they will, if they don't extend Sengun now, they will have a lot of money to play with in the summer, and they'll have even more if they move off of Dillon. And then also, I think we have guys who can do what he does, maybe better than him. I think Amin is one of them. They played him a lot at the wing position last season. I think Amin's the best wing on the roster personally. So, I think he's there. You obviously have Tari. Whatever happens with Cam Whitmore, like those are three guys who maybe sooner than later could just take over small forward spots from Dillon. Like I said, then you might want to move off from him just for the cap space. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is his last year. I think Fred's a little more interesting though because he is expiring, so like he's not going to be on the books at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I like Fred. I think he does a lot of good for it. Like I said, I gave him MVP, and so I obviously don't want to give him another $40 million a year. Like that's way too much money for him. But like if he's willing to like stay long term on like maybe a longer deal but less money every year, I'd be fine with that. And he can kind of transition from starting point guard to like 6-man and then like lead our bench units as like the young guys can take over. I would love that honestly. So yeah, I think Dillon probably won't be here in like a year or two, but I could see a world where Fred is.
Okay. Dillon Brooks, future Nick. He heard it here first. Some of the other veterans that also really helped your team that a lot of people don't talk about, like Holiday, Keegan stepped up, and then also Jeff Green, who's also going to probably end up dunking on somebody this year. He's always catching a body every year at like age 80. It's crazy. What were your thoughts about them last year, and what do you expect from them this upcoming year?
Aaron Holiday. The people in playback know I have a real like love-hate relationship with Aaron Holiday. I think he's good when he plays his role. I think sometimes he doesn't know what his role is. I think he thinks he's True. I think he thinks he's Fred. He's not Fred. He's more of like
Aaron Holiday.
Yeah, he's like, and this is maybe a bad comp, but he's like lesser DiVincenzo. Like I think DiVincenzo is clearly better than him, but I think that's the role he should be playing. Is like the off-ball 2 guard who can space the floor and then like play defense. I don't want him running my offense, and so when he's doing that, I think he's good at it. I think he's really good. I had no problem with him re-signing with us this summer. I think as far as like third string injury replacement guys go, I think he's really good at that. But like I said, with him, it's just I don't want him running point guard. I want him playing it too, and he played point guard a lot at times. That frustrated me. But then Jeff Green, he was just amazing, especially like when you factor in how old he is. I think he's 37, gonna be 38 soon, something like that. To still, like I said, still be dunking on people, still getting up and down the floor. And we played him out of position the entire year. He played 5 for us because, like you touched on it earlier, Jack Landale. He was hurt. I think that's what it was. I think that's why he played so bad. I think he hurt himself at was it FIBA? Was that the thing they had last summer?
Yeah, the FIBA.
He got hurt like he rolled his ankle real bad in FIBA, and I think he came back sooner than what he was supposed to. Okay. And I think that's the reason why he didn't play as well. Because I think towards the end of the season when he had time to heal, I thought he actually was pretty good. Like in that stretch where Sengun went down, I thought Landale stepped up really big during that. But because Landale was so bad for the first 75% of the season, we had to play Jeff Green at the 5. And so he's playing out of position, but I thought he played it really well. And same thing there. I think he's another guy who's just like super instrumental in our locker room, going from a team that had 0 vets to now having all these guys on it. and having like, I think we have quality vets. I think we just have vets. We have like guys who are really good. Like Jeff Green's been in the league for sure over a decade now, I'm pretty sure. And then like he's played on all these different teams, coached by different coaches. He's played with a lot of stars in the league, so he knows what it takes to win and what preparation the stars put into their bodies and whatnot. So I thought just from that perspective as well, just having him in the locker room was really good. So I was glad to see him come back as well.
All right, I want to talk about Amen Thompson. I thought he had a really good rookie year. I love everything about his game. I think he can develop a jump shot. To me, it's
raps.
Yeah, it's lights out. Give me a grade for his rookie year. And obviously, I think the obvious answer to the question I'm about to ask is like, yeah, he has to improve his shooting. But like, what else would you like to see from him this year aside from improving his shooting?
See, y'all done messed up, man, because I could talk about Amen Thompson for like 10 minutes.
I mean, you got to talk about him. We got to talk about him.
Amen he's my favorite player on the team. I think he's my favorite player in the league right now. So yeah, I can talk about him forever. But to grade his season, I'll give it an A-. I'm not gonna give it an A or A+. But I thought he was really good. And like I said this the other day, I think if you were to take all of our young guys, so Jalen, Sengun, Bari, Tari, Amen, and Cam, and Reed doesn't count because he hasn't played for us just yet. But of those 6 guys I just named, I think Amen had the best rookie season out of all of those guys. I think he like pretty easily did, just because of how like he's amazing defense. I think you could argue he's one of the league's best. I think he's making all defensive team. If not this year, for sure next season.
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal defensively. He's a 99 percentile in like every rebounding category. He knows how to play with the ball in his hands, without the ball in his hands. Like he's just like the one man do it all. Like he said, he gets the jumper, I think it's over. So yeah, I give him an A- on the season. And I'm really excited for what he's going to do this year. But to talk about what he needs to improve on, I actually speak all the time. I don't even think the jumper is his biggest weakness. I think it's his handle. I think his handle is actually, well, I mean, his jumper is bad. Like, let me not tell it short. It's bad. But in terms of like him being able to be functional and like really thrive, I think he's going to need both. But I think in terms of like what he could do right now, I think the handle would do him more good. Because for as good of like a defender and rebounder, I think you could argue his court vision is his best attribute. He's like super gifted as a passer. And because of how tall he is and how athletic he is, he has like access to like certain passing windows. And I mean, he can jump in the air and contort his body and throw a pass to the corner that like some other guys just like physically cannot do. Yeah. And you don't see that as much because you can't put the ball in his hands as much because he can't dribble like it. And to his credit, it's gotten a lot better. It was preseason, I knew it was bad come out of OT. Preseason, I saw him sitting like the corner and dribble the ball off his foot, standing still. I'm like, okay, so it's worse than what I thought it was. But as the season went on, it did get better. So just if he can continue to get that down, I think that's what's really going to open his game. Because like I said, then you can play him more at point guard. You can put the ball in his hands a bit more, and then you can start seeing the fact that this guy, like I said, he's probably top 5 athlete in the league right now. And like I said, I think he's super gifted as a playmaker that you really don't get to see it as much. So I think you'll start seeing more of that if he gets the handle down.
Do you prefer him as like a future point guard or like, I guess maybe a wing Swiss Army knife? Because I remember I see last year he played all over. Like he was a screener, played in a dunker spot. Like he was effective in different spots. So, but where do you envision him, like his future position?
Yeah, I think basketball is kind of positionless now. Like it's a lot of guys who, bad example. Brian is a small forward, power forward, but he plays point guard pretty much, right? So, I think the role I would want him to have is I do want the ball, and if he gets the handle down, which I hope he does, I would want the ball in his hands because like I said, I do think that I think he's a super gifted playmaker. Like I said, I think there's passing angles and windows and just passes that he can make that other guys just cannot make because of how athletic he is, how tall he is, stuff like that. And so yeah, I do want the ball in his hands. But the good news is though, is like we also have so many like gifted ball handlers on this team. Like Reed, for example, he's super gifted as a on ball creator, playmaker as well. Assuming Jalen Green figures it out, he's someone who you can put the ball in his hands as well. And then obviously you have Sengun, who just like breaking guys off the dribble at the top of the key, but you can put the ball in his hands, top of the key or in the post, and he'll make a play out of it as well. So I think even if Amen doesn't, or even if he does, you still have a bunch of guys who can handle the ball. And like I said, I just see kind of positionless. I think you can just throw all those guys out there and just like any guy can go out there and make a play for someone else, for someone else. And so, but yeah, like the ideal position, I would love to see him have the ball in his hands a lot more. But like I didn't even talk about this. He like you said, he played just a straight up like wing position for us this year. He didn't even really have the ball in his hands as much. And like one thing I always give him credit for is he talked about like he had never done that before. He's never played without the ball in his hands. He never set screens before. He's never like played the dunker spot, played rolls to the basket. And so for him to come out and like I said, not just embrace the role, but excel in it.
He's a basketball player.
Yeah, he just plays basketball. Yeah, that's what he just plays basketball, bro.
Yeah, I love that about his game. I want to shift the attention over to Cam Whitmore and Jae'Sean Tate. Like, what's their role? Do they have a role on this team? What does that look like? Do you see them as trade talk? Like what are they really for the Rockets here? They're good pieces, but what are they?
So I'll take the easier one first with Jae'Sean Tate.
Yeah.
I don't. So Jae'Sean, like the funny thing about him is like he is, when you think of what an Ime Udoka guy looks like, it's Jae'Sean Tate, the guy who goes out there and leaves it all on the floor. He'll play himself to exhaustion. He's the guy who, like, if there's a loose ball, he's diving on. He'll dive into the crowd for the ball. He's not afraid to guard the toughest matchup, and he'll guard 1 through 5 if you let him. He's not. He may not be good at guarding the 5s, but if you let him, he'll do it.
Yeah.
And so like, it's hard for me to say he's just not gonna play because I know that like that's what Ime Udoka likes in a player. But we have just so many guys at like that position, and I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I hate it because we talked about him being the longest tenured Rocket. I think this might be the last year he's here just because of how many guys we have at that position. But I love him. I love his game.
Yeah, you guys are deep, man. Someone's got to be man out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be him, unfortunately. Okay. But like I said, the good news is like if somebody gets hurt, we have somebody who can step up. The Cam Whitmore thing, and this is the part where like Rockets fans, you don't want to hear me say it. I think he's the first one going. Of all of the young guys, assuming Jalen Green figures it out. If he doesn't, I think it's Jalen. But if Jalen Green figures it out, I do think Cam is the one that they use in the consolidation trade, or like if they go trade for a star, I think he's the one that goes. One, because I think if I was a team that was like looking to trade a star and hit the rebuild, I don't want no disrespect. I don't want Tari because Tari's a good player, but he's a role player, right? And like you're not going to get Reed, you're not going to get Sengun, you're not going to get Amin. The best thing is going to be Cam. So like so like I think that I think that's why he's going to be going. And then also, I'm trying to think of like the PG way to say this. Like
no, rated R, baby, let's go.
He just has like his biggest weakness is like it's the IQ. He is like the Ricky Jaylen Brown thing, but like maybe worse, honestly, where like you'll see so many plays where like he'll have the ball and he'll be getting like doubled and he'll still shoot it. And he's so talented. Sometimes he makes them, and like we laughing in the playback all the time. We're like, dude, that was a bad shot that you just made. And we're like, I don't even know if it's a good thing if he made it because like that's telling him take bad shots. But it's like, bro, that you're talented, so you made the shot, but like that ain't it. You like there's somebody like there's so many. I can show y'all screenshots of like Fred or Sengun, they'll be like pointing to the person who's open. And Cam,
hands are up.
Take a step back and shooting over kind of dunking with 2 guys. And it's like at a certain point, like if the ball touches Cam's hand,
it's going
up. Get back on defense because he's not going to pass it. He's going to try to score the ball here. And like that works if it's a night where he's on. Right. If it's not a night where he's on, like he's hurting the team doing that, or he's probably hurting the team even if he's on. But like
he's not good enough to do that yet.
He's for sure hurting the team if he's not on. And so for me, it's like I need to see him be able to play a role. And so that's why, like, when the roster constraints start coming out, who's going to not get minutes? It might be if I was running the roster, it's probably him. Just because, like I said, I can't trust that if I give you the ball, that you're not going to take a step back over 3 guys. Like, and that's going to hurt us in like a do or die situation. Yeah. And then you have somebody like Reed, who we talked about, like he's like say he went out there and put up point, steal, block, assist, all that good stuff in 30 seconds. Like he plays basketball. And men plays basketball. These are guys who they're unselfish. They can play. They're versatile. They can do multiple things. They're just not like the one-dimensional scorer who likes to play dies in his hands. And so I think when someone gets squeezed, it's probably going to be him. And like I said, you just can't keep all these guys anyways. Like that's the other reality. You have a bunch of guys who are going to want to get paid one day. I think he's the one that has to go. That's just my personal guess.
Okay.
I guess finally, what about one of your? I think you mentioned last year he was one of your favorite players, Tari Eason. He went down with injury, but he was having a good year in terms of like rebounding and defense. What do you expect from him when this year when he comes back from injury?
Yeah, no, he was. You talked about Sengun going down the final 20. I think Tari going down. I think we probably do make the playoffs with Tari because we would have had him for the full season. And we were. I used to know this number on top of my head, but we had some. I think he only played 20 games. And I know we had an above 500 record in those 20 games, but I forgot the exact number. I used to know it, but we like when he plays, we're really good. And like one of my hot takes too is like I think at that point in time I think he was the best wing on the roster. I think Amin kind of surpassed him as the season went on, but like at that time I thought he was the best wing. I thought he was better than Dylan. I thought he was better than Bari at the time. And so losing him for the whole season, like you said, what he brings as a rebounder, as a defensive playmaker. He's not necessarily the world's best shooter, but he will space it. I think he's like the definition, the kind of guy who's like his impact and like how good he is goes beyond what his box score says. I think you're gonna just have to watch him play to see how good he is. And so like losing him for the full season, I think we get about 3 or 4 more games just with him in the roster. I'm in the lineup. So yeah, having him back, like I'm probably the most excited for is our bench unit, because then you're gonna have him, you'll have Amin, you'll have Reed, you'll have Steven Adams, guys like that. Like I'm just really excited to see like what, like if nothing else, what Amin and Tari do next year. I'm really excited for that.
All right, are you happy with Ime Udoka?
Yeah, I love him. I thought, like I said, we talked about. I went back and rewatched a Silas era game. I mean, goodness gracious, like I said, it wasn't basketball. It was some of the worst thing. And like you get desensitized to it because you watch it every single night. But then you like watching what I watched this season, and then like stepping back and then looking at it again, it's like I was like, bro, what was that? So to go from that to what we saw, and like, we added Fred and we added Dylan, who I don't want to like shortchange what they did for the team. They were amazing for us. But outside of those two guys, like it's for the most part the same roster. Like Jeff Green played, but he didn't play that much. Aaron Holiday played, but he didn't play that much. Jock Landale, like I said, had to get DNP'd for like half the season. So like it was mainly the same guys from last year, plus Fred, plus Dylan. And it went from disorganized, like rec run to like, okay, now you can kind of see the semblance of something kind of building. And I think it starts with him. And I think the biggest thing that he brought was the accountability and the culture that we had. He said, I think it was like in December, we played the Lakers and we got beat real bad. And he was just like, we got punked tonight. He just kept saying like, we got punked. I remember he got ejected from that game. If I remember properly, he was like, what we did today just wasn't, that's not the type of basketball he wants to play in Houston. And I think from that day forward, like the team kind of took on that persona of like, all right, we're not going to get punked no more. So that's when you started seeing, I don't know if there's a stat on this, but I'm willing to bet if there is, or somebody were to count it up, I am like 90% sure we led the league in fights this year. I am
Udoka's fighting with LeBron. That's the game he was like arguing with LeBron, right? Like him and LeBron were going at it.
It's him. Udoka got into it with a lot of people. So I am 90% sure we led the league between Udoka and you know what Dylan does. Yeah. And then like Jalen got into it with people throughout the year. Cam got into it. Amin, the funny thing, Amin had it was one of those Mavericks games that we lost. And he had like one of his best starts to a game ever. Like I forgot what he had, but he went crazy in like 2 minutes. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be one of those Amin games. Like I'm getting excited. Like he finna go crazy tonight. And then he shoves Maxi Cleveland to the ground and gets ejected in like the first 5 minutes of the game. I'm pretty sure I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure we had the most fights in the league. And like, you don't want to see guys get ejected every single night. Like that's not what you want to see. But going from what we did have, we're like, it was. I mean, we had dudes who left at halftime, who went home at halftime before, like people who refused to check into the game. people who were going out there and moping around, not getting back on defense, stuff like I said, it just wasn't good. And so to go from having to watch that for 3 seasons to now having like, I don't see guys get ejected, but at least I know I have a team that cares now. I know that I have a team that wants to be out there, that doesn't like losing. They don't want to get pushed around no more. Like, it matters to them. And that made the world of a difference to me. And I know that starts with the coach, like you said, who was fighting with LeBron. Like, I think that's where they get it from. And so, yeah, I love them. I don't think we could have got a better coach if we tried.
Okay, so finally, what are your season predictions for this upcoming year?
Yeah. I think we made the playoffs this year. I think this is the year that they finally get over the hump.
Not just playing in playoffs. Like,
yeah, I think we don't be playoffs. Yeah, not the play. I think the play-in is the absolute worst case scenario. But I think if like guys stay healthy, like knock on wood, no one goes out there, and hopefully we're not missing Tari for 60 games again, or Sengun doesn't miss the last third of the season again. Like, if guys stay within reasonable health, yeah, I think because we won 41 last year, and that was with, like I said, we had guys miss prolonged periods of time. Like a man, we can talk about him. He got hurt, I believe, game 4, missed a month, got sick, and then missed even more time. So he didn't really get back and then like catch his stride until like January, February of the season. And so yeah, we had a bunch of injuries. Jock Landale was unplayable, so now we have Jeff Green playing center, which he tried his best at. No disrespect, but like that's not what he does. He's not a center. So you want somebody out there to kind of give relief to Sengun. Jalen Green, like I said, he struggled for like the whole season pretty much up until like March. And I think I'm forgetting something else that happened. And the spacing. The spacing was really, really bad. That's what it was. Our space, I believe we were a bottom 5 team in 3-point percentage this year. We were like, we had a top 10 offense, but a bottom 5 defense. So it's like, if you find the median between top 10 defense and bottom 10 offense, find that middle ground, I mean, that's a playoff team right there. And so like now we have Steven Adams. So that's the backup center situation. Saw Reed Shepard to sniper, got some more spacing. Hopefully Sengun and Amin and all those other guys don't get hurt. And then fingers crossed, hopefully Jalen Green, this is the year where he figures himself out. Because if he finds that median between what he was in like March and when he's unplayable, like that's an amazing player in and of its own self right there. So like I think that does get us. I mean, we had 41. I think I just described where you can get like 7-8 more wins right there, and on top of just guys also just being a year older now. They have a year of development. This is the first time where they've had like real continuity. And so, yeah, like I think, add those things up. It seems like 7-8 more wins right there, and I think it's good enough for the playoffs.
All right, Will Fortson, everybody, give it up. Will, thanks for coming on. Love having you on as well. If we talk Rockets this year, we're definitely bringing you back. Let everybody know where they can follow you once again, your podcast, playback, everything. Anybody wants to see you.
Yeah, no, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Bryce Houston. The Brad on Will Show, it's the podcast is on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, the playback.tv, Houston Live. It's an app, website, whatever you want to use to tap in what it's like to watch the games in there, come in there, probably talk just Rockets basketball, whenever. Like I said, I think that's everything I do. But yeah, thank y'all for having me again. Like I said, I always have fun coming on the show.
No doubt, man. All right. If you want to follow The Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab, aka Yes. We'll see you next time for another episode of The Dime. Peace.